Hi guys, how's it going? My name is Giulio, welcome to the 10 Years Podcast. In this video I want to talk about AMARanto, which is my album released at the beginning of April 25 by EQS Musica, which is a great label, Latin music label based in Orlando, Florida. AMARanto covers my experience as a teenager taking the train from Liguria, which is a region in the northwest side of Italy, and exploring the south side of France, Spain and Portugal, and of course some of the towns that are in between Italy and France on the border. AMARanto comes as the follow to the Mediterranean album, which I released a long time ago, and it was a tribute to the music of the Mediterranean, but also a personal journey into my biggest influence, which is the traditional music of Italy, the tarantellas, the pizzica, and so forth. I don't claim in any way to be a flamenco guitar player or a fado guitar player or anything like that. My music is a fusion of all these cultures that to me are more influences than radically talking background cultures as far as my music knowledge and my music education. I started as a classical guitar player, and then I started to work as a session player in Italy during the mid-90s, and I got extremely fascinated by instrumental music. AMARanto is an instrumental album or EP, contains 8 tracks, and it's mainly focused on the topic of journey. Journey as traveling across different cultures and exploring different music styles, but also different types of society, different ways of interacting. And by doing so, the journey is not just a geographical journey, it's not just a physical journey, but it's also a personal journey, a way of discovering myself by exploring the culture of different countries. Now, I am holding the EP of the single from the album is called El Far, and El Far is inspired by the Santuari del Far, which is in Spain, and is located in the Catalan region of Spain, which I briefly passed by when I took the train, and a lot of people told me the story about this sanctuary, and I was able to see it from the bottom, standing up on a hill. And later on, I went to the same town many years later, around 2000, and I had a chance to actually walk up to the sanctuary and get very close to it. This EP is to me the equivalent of a travel log or a diary, where each track is a memory, is a postcard from a different place. And this one is a limited edition version on vinyl. There is a great company online called Elastic Stage that allows independent artists to release their music on vinyl format using an on-demand program, which means you don't have to pay in advance for physical copies of your record. Vinyl versions of your record, you can order them, get discounts, and get them delivered specifically on an on-demand basis. This album features a photo of me recording the AMARanto album, which is in my personal recording studio, which is right here. And it features some of the guitars that have been with me for a very long time. Now, this is a 9-string guitar. I don't know if you can see it. And it's an experiment because it doesn't sound perfect. It's like a demo guitar, and it has a few issues, but I'm playing this instrument to double the melody, and I love the way the strings resonate with the body and creates this sound, which is almost like a harp sound. And I'm holding a Córdoba classical guitar. Córdoba makes great guitars. And here I have my electric upright bass. This one has been featured many times in my performances with Bone Machine, plays the music of Tom Waits, and it has a piezo pickup that allows to have a sound which is in between an acoustic upright and an electric upright. This artwork, I made this one many years ago, and then I used pixel art to make it look like it's a painting from the hundreds. It reminds me a lot the type of artwork that you will see if you travel in the Mediterranean, and by saying so, if you go on the coast in between Liguria and France, for example, just passing by Nice, Antibes, and all these different towns. You see a lot of these figures of like ladies wearing these flowers. In this case, this is my idea of the goddess of Amaranth, which is a sign of immortality. In particular, the fact that memories are immortal, that memories never die, especially if you're able to tell them, to tell your story and pass your stories to the next generations. In this case, we're not even using words. So this is an instrumental record. So the melodies, the immortal melodies that have been inspired by the sound of songs that have been played for centuries and centuries by populations in the Mediterranean area. Inside the album, this is a photo of me holding the 9-string guitar, which is the one that is on the cover of the album. And at the back, again, same guitar, and here's the Córdoba. And this is a super cheap drum kit. I think it's called DXP. The DXP, it has that dead sound on the kick drum and on the snare that I particularly love when I want to have a drum kit that doesn't sound like drums, but it sounds like percussions. And inside, obviously, there is the vinyl record with the Elastic Stage logo. It's a 33 RPM. This is a 12-inch record. And obviously, this album, even being technically a single, has 4 tracks. And in the second track, which is Elfar, I have a special guest, Cheri. She's a great singer-songwriter based in LA. We worked together on a project a year ago, which got candidated for a Grammy for Best Contemporary Blues Album. It was the album by Antonio Vergara called The Fury, and we met at the Grammys, and we said we had to collaborate on something. And this is unusual because she's singing over a flamenco-influenced piece. Then the second side, the B-side of the album, featured a track called Edalia, which is inspired by Edalia, which is a village situated on Gibraltar. Gibraltar, basically the strait where the two lips are almost meeting, and they represent the doors of the Mediterranean. It's basically a narrow waterway into the Mediterranean Sea. It's also the bridge that metaphorically connects Morocco, which is North Africa, to the bottom of Spain, the bottom west side of Spain. And in this track, on a traditional instrument called Kanklės, I have Simona Smirnova. We met at the Village Studios in LA during the Grammy week. It was during a networking event, and I recognized the instrument. I thought, this is the class. It's very big harp, traditional instrument, with a really interesting sound. It reminds me of the auto harp. And if you're not familiar with the auto harp, just check the music of Johnny Cash's wife. So the class is like that, but it has a more mystical and mesmerizing sound. And it's featured on a track which I label as Ethno-Fusion. I have some influences that range from Return to Forever in there, maybe because of the Aldi Meola type of picking technique. But in the end, I wanted to find a way to bridge between the very Spanish flamenco music, which is in these 4 tracks, and the sound of North Africa. Then the other 2 tracks, one is called Andora, which is a very tiny town in Liguria, known obviously for Genoa and Cinque Terre. Those are the most popular places in Liguria. But Andora, which is situated on the coast of Liguria, is a very tiny town where it feels like time has stopped. And I wanted to do a tribute piece to that particular place, to that particular town. And it came out as this very dramatic prelude for 2 classical guitars. So it's basically opening AMARanto, which is the whole album, but also this single. And the first track of the B-side of this single is Irmã de São Paulo, which is basically the sister of São Paulo, which is obviously the city in Brazil. And to me, it represents the sisterhood between the city of Genoa and the city in Brazil, São Paulo. And that's why I put obviously all the description was at the back of the album, at the back of the single. description about each song. But I thought it would be particularly representative to have something that is linked to the Mediterranean, but also shows how the Mediterranean and how many of the cities that face the Mediterranean were and still are ports and connecting bridges between cultures, and even between cultures that are in South America, so in a completely different continent. A very melancholic piece which features the organetto, which is a little, I think it's called the Lorenzo organetto, the brand that made it. Is this like old woodwind organ that you power with a fan that pushes sound through these like pipes inside the organetto? And what it does is it creates this very melancholic sound. And I just play a few notes. It's a very simple melody that opens the track, and it sets the mood, the same feeling that you should feel if you arrive in Genoa by boat and you are surrounded by the seagulls and you can see the harbor master from afar. And metaphorically talking, because we're talking about a piece that represents the sisterhood between Sao Paulo and Genoa, it will be the feeling that you get when you come to a city like Genoa from really far away. So in this case from Brazil, and you approach, and then you are then dragged into the whole journey, and the journey begins, and then the music kicks in, and it's again this very Mediterranean Latin style type of track. Amaranto in general, between the single and the album, has been primarily recorded here and mixed here, but it features special guest percussion, and obviously Dario plays actually in 2 songs, different instruments, and it was mastered by Matthew Shell, incredible talented musician also and sound engineers from US, which I had the pleasure to collaborate with. A song called Monterosso, which was released a while ago. It's a great track, and it's a tribute to a hill that is in actually after. So it's not in Genoa, it's in one of the local towns that are on the way heading to the Cinque Terre. And literally is the Red Mountain, basically, the Monterosso. And it's set, there was this local story when I was a kid, that every time you would see a thunderstorm coming from the hills, from Monterosso, it meant that there was something crazy going on top of the hills, almost like a Greek story. You would have some crazy energies, like maybe bad energies, clashing on top of the hill and creating this, this concert of thunderstorms, if you want to put it in a certain way. But the whole album is a tribute not only to the Mediterranean, but to my memories of a teenager traveling in the cities and in the areas of northwest Italy, South France, South Spain, and South Portugal. Even obviously the Catalan region is the inside of Spain. So the train was taking this journey at the time. It was not all the time by the Mediterranean, but obviously it was a connecting line from the northwest side of Italy and almost the end of Spain, and then ending the Gibraltar part, and then ending to and up to in the direction of Porto. So it was a very long journey, and I ended up staying in, I remember I stayed in some local bed and breakfast. At the time they were called pensions, but the whole experience was like a dream, and I didn't even took notes of what I was doing, I didn't even took photos. I was just living the journey, and then the memories that survived that journey are here in this single, in the AMARanto album. So make sure to check the album, which I'm going to promote like crazy up until the summer. Make sure to put out footage behind the scenes and photos. And I already shared some of the photos in this video when I was talking about the organetto and other parts of the album. But keep an eye on my YouTube channel, which obviously is about my vlog and my daily life and what I do, many different interests. I'm a guy interested in a wide range of topics and projects, but music will always be there, and this album is my comeback because I want to make sure to release consistently throughout the next at least 10-15 years. Stay tuned, and if you like this video, remember to like and subscribe. Ciao for now.